everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into a family drama that exploded on Reddit. A mom's ex wants her to fund an Easter basket or pick up their child early because he has no basket. She works Easter and wants time and a half, and she's scheduled a bigger Easter moment for Monday. The twist is that there are other kids with baskets at the dad's place, and it's all tangled with parenting time and money. Let's unpack what happened, what the top comment said, and what we actually do in this situation. There's a lot at stake here. Mother, father, and most of all, the 6-year-old who just wants a little magic.
Okay, to summarize, the father who doesn't have a job asks for either money for a basket or to retrieve the kid early. The mom is juggling work, a 6-year-old, and a plan to celebrate on Monday. She doesn't want to pay or inconvenience herself, and she wonders if the dad should just figure something out. This isn't just about a toy or candy. It touches timing, responsibility, and whether one parent is rescuing the other from consequences. So yes, we're diving deep into the ethics and the practicalities, with a focus on how kids experience these parent-driven glitches.
First principle. Should the non-custodial parent at least have the capacity to make the holiday a little special? The dad's finances are messy, with nicotine and beer habits taking priority over a small Easter basket. The post frames this as a failure of responsibility, and it's easy to point fingers. But the core question is whether the child's happiness is a shared obligation or a dependency on the other parent's budget. Let's hear what the top commenters thought, because they're pulling from real-world parenting grit, and their voices echo through this whole debate.
Comment 2, for example, suggests NTA, don't send money or pick up early, but you should still make sure there's a basket waiting at your place when you go to pick him up. The logic is simple. Don't enable bad planning, but don't let your kid miss out on a moment either. It's just a problem from a cash transfer to a logistical one. Deliver the magic at home, not at the dad's place. It's clever, and it frames Easter as a shared, not outsourced celebration. The idea has bite because it reframes responsibility as a shared chore, not a transactional favor.
Comment 3 pushes a playful workaround. Call your son on Easter and say the Easter Bunny came to your house because you were at mom's place most of the time. Let the child hold on to that, while you physically prepare a basket for when he returns. It preserves your plans, preserves the kid's excitement, and still holds dad accountable. It's a gentle parental nudging without publicly shaming him. We should unpack whether that kind of white lie matters for a 6-year-old, and how to frame honesty while keeping the magic alive.
Comment 4 doubles down. Buy a basket and tell him the Easter Bunny came to your house because he didn't know he would be with his dad, and then hand it to him when he comes home. That's a bold move, almost a trick, but framed as a cute misunderstanding. The commenter is saying, don't bail out dad, protect your child's joy, and don't let a scheduled trap turn into a mini crisis. It's provocative, but it hits a nerve for anyone who's ever felt forced to pick up someone else's slack. It's a test case for how far you can push the storytelling without harming trust.
Comment 5 lands squarely on accountability. NTA, don't cover for him, and acknowledge that too many people indulge bad fathers. The post is framed as a choice between paying up or losing out, but this reader argues there's a third option. Don't pay and don't fetch early, and let the dad face the consequences of his own planning. The idea isn't cruelty. It's signaling that parenting time comes with responsibilities, even when it's inconvenient. It's harsh, but potentially necessary. A dose of tough love that some listeners will defend while others recoil from.
Comment 6 leans into the long game. Don't bail him out because children notice patterns. If you constantly rescue a parent who won't step up, the kid learns to expect the world to bend for someone else's bad choices. The responder emphasizes honest consequences, even when it hurts the child's feelings in the moment. It's not about punishment. It's about teaching future resilience and a clearer picture of who's steering the ship. It's a frustrating clarity for many parents who just want harmony without pain.
Now, let's flip to the scheduling reality. The mom works Easter and wants to be back by Monday to celebrate properly. That means time and a half for her, which is fair compensation. But it also creates a clock running on relief and planning. If the dad can't provide the basket, could the mom pre-arrange a low-cost, symbolic basket on her own? and call it the Easter Bunny's oversight? The episode cares about practical solutions that don't hollow out either parent's rights or the kid's happiness. It's about choreography as well as charity.
I appreciate the argument for a compromise, but we also have to guard against creating a habit of one parent cleaning up after the other's messes. If the ex keeps missing responsibilities, should we simply cover the cost in the name of continuity? The counterpoint is, if you're the parent who's always carrying the load, you risk setting a pattern your child will notice and someday question. The tension there is real and instructive for listeners who are navigating their own co-parenting dark corners. It's not about stinginess, it's about sustainable limits.
One more pragmatic angle. What if the two parents coordinate a plan for Easter Day over the phone? The dad could at least arrange a tiny basket or note for the kid to recover when he's back. You could frame it as a minimal compliance issue rather than a moral one. The key is to keep the celebration intact and to avoid the kid feeling betrayed or confused by conflicting stories. We're trying to keep the magic alive while holding adults accountable, which is a delicate balance even for seasoned co-parents.
On a personal note, I'm inclined to say the dad should somehow hustle a small basket or plan a shared mini excursion after the weekend. It's not about enforcing a punishment, it's about modeling responsible parenting under imperfect circumstances. If he can't come up with something small, perhaps he can at least coordinate a future makeup activity with the child. The point is that parenting time requires some investment, even if it's a minor one, and the child deserves that signal.
Let's talk about the child's perspective. A 6-year-old is still learning how the world works, and he senses when he's being treated as an afterthought. The Easter Bunny at Mom's house approach risks confusing the child about who is in charge of the family unit. On the other hand, letting him wake up to nothing from his dad can be a wreck of disappointment. The trick is to preserve trust, while the adults sort out consequences for the grown-ups, and to avoid turning the child into a bargaining chip.
Commentary angle: the Easter Bunny move to my house approach can preserve the narrative for the child while nudging the dad toward responsibility. But you have to be careful with future messaging. Kids sense inconsistencies. If the dad truly can't step up, the mom might need to create a parent-friendly alternative that still honors the child's needs. It's a negotiation, not a simple moral absolution, and it requires ongoing communication so the child doesn't get whiplash from changing stories.
Another layer, the mental load and fairness. The mom is already putting in extra effort to make Easter special on Monday. The dad's request adds a last-minute pressure that's basically asking her to subsidize his parenting. It's an example of how parental responsibilities diverge across households, and it tests our ideas about fairness and sacrifice. The reality is messy, but listeners want clarity about what their own responses should be, and we're trying to offer them practical framing rather than pure judgment.
From a fairness lens, if a parent has a habit of not planning while the other parent bears the cost, we end up with resentment. Some listeners might agree that the real issue isn't the basket itself, but the pattern, a lack of consistent involvement. The Easter basket becomes a proxy for bigger problems: time, money, energy, and the degree to which each parent shows up when it matters most. Our job is to give listeners a toolkit for conversation, boundaries, and a plan they can actually implement.
So here's a potential middle ground. You loudly state your plan for Monday, with an Easter-themed surprise awaiting your son, and you tell the ex that he's responsible for his own Easter moment next time. If necessary, you might offer to help him with a tiny basket that costs a couple of dollars, but only if he agrees to do the same in the future. The underlying principle is accountability, without demonizing the other parent in front of the child. It keeps him honest, while protecting your child's sense of security.
That's a thoughtful path, and it echoes several of the top comments. Don't bail, don't hide the truth from the kid, and keep the narrative under your roof where you have control. It's also okay to acknowledge that kids feel disappointment, and that's part of growing up. You don't want to weaponize heartbreak, but you can frame it as a real-life lesson about planning, sacrifice, and shared parenting responsibility. The key is to do it with warmth, not with blame, so your child feels secure instead of stuck in a tug of war.
course, we should acknowledge the emotional heavy lift here. The mom clearly wants the best for her child and fears the backlash of a disappointing Easter. The ex's choices aren't just about a basket. They reflect his overall commitment, or lack thereof, as a parent. Our listeners might sit with that tension and ask, what would you do if you were in this exact situation? That honesty matters more than any one clever workaround, because it shapes future choices for both the child and the adults involved.
To broaden the lens, imagine this across different families. How would this be resolved if the children lived with the father most weekends? The economics and the emotional calculus shift, but the core question remains: who ensures the small rituals that anchor childhood? Some people might argue for a policy of not stepping in unless a parent truly falters, while others push for a more interventionist style to protect the child's sense of security. Either way, the episode invites listeners to reflect on what kind of parent they want to be when holidays highlight the gaps.
We'll wrap toward a decision. The post's strongest messages seem to align with not bailing out the ex and letting consequences do some of the teaching. But there's also a strong call to preserve the child's happiness and the magical aspect of holidays. The best version of this story is a blend. A plan for Monday, a minimal but visible gesture from the dad if possible, and transparent talk with the child about how families work. It isn't about perfection, it's about process, and process can be kind if it's guided by care for the kid.
Before we close, quick practical tips. Write a short, warm conversation with your kid about Easter. Prepare a little basket at your house so the kid knows the magic is real. Call the ex to set expectations. Document the plan for future visits so it doesn't happen again. And if you can, share your own stories in the comments or DMs. The more voices we hear, the more listeners feel seen in their own messy co-parenting journeys. We're all learning together, even when the lessons come with a side of chocolate eggs.
All right, folks, that's our take from the Reddit thread and the top comments we pulled. The core message isn't about blaming a parent. It's about protecting a child's sense of security while you hold adults accountable for their roles. If you're listening and you recognize your own situation, you're not alone, and there are paths forward that respect everyone involved. Now we want to hear from you. Have you faced a similar Easter dilemma, and how did you handle it? Share honestly, and we'll keep this conversation going.
Thanks for sticking with us through the long form today. If you enjoyed the debate, subscribe for more deep dives into tricky family moments, and leave a comment with what you do in this exact scenario. We'll read your responses on a future episode, and maybe bring in a few experts or fellow listeners to defend or challenge different angles. For now, take care, keep your kids at the center, and remember, responsibility is contagious when it's modeled, not mandated from above.